Hello there, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Sam. I'll be moderating this presentation, and in just a moment, we'll be joined by Michael Corchett, one of our financial advisors. We're going to wait for a couple other people to trickle in before Michael comes on, and in the meantime, I wanted to just go over a couple quick housekeeping items with you. First and foremost, please be reminded we are not with your company. We are not the company that you retired from. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors, so please keep that in mind. Next, while Michael is speaking, I'll be entering some links. They're going to pop up right above his head. Click directly on them. They're going to guide you to our website where you can take advantage and book an appointment. You can also get access to the many blogs we have available. You can also follow us on LinkedIn or connect with us on LinkedIn. You can follow us on YouTube. We post a lot of content that we feel would be very useful to someone who is transitioning into retirement. You can also ask away in the anonymous Q&A chat on the screen there. Feel free to ask any questions you have throughout the presentation, and I will make sure either Michael himself or one of his colleagues reaches out to answer those with you after the presentation has ended. I do apologize, we don't have time to answer them live, but we'll make sure that someone reaches out to you afterward. And if you would prefer that someone just call or email you to go over your finances with you, you can also chat or put email or call in the chat, and I'll make sure someone reaches out to you. And without further ado, let's jump right into it now with Michael Corchett.
Thank you, Sam, and welcome everyone to today's presentation. Today we're just going to talk about various ideas and helpful hints for retirees to consider, some of which you probably may already know about, and some of which I bet you will find very interesting and possibly helpful. A lot of unique thoughts that we're going to do today. It's sort of a potpourri of ideas for retirees to consider. First, we'll talk about utilizing various income sources, obviously optimizing your Social Security benefits and possibly delaying those benefits to maximize them for your retirement can be and will be very important. We do seminars solely on Social Security. It is something that I enjoy talking with my clients and prospective clients about, as far as whether you should consider taking it early or as early as age 62, or waiting till your full retirement age at 67, or maximizing your benefits at age 70. And if you're married, what should you and versus your spouse do? Part-time work. I have a lot of clients who like to do something just to keep themselves busy. Many times you can find jobs with flexible hours to do something that you might find helpful, you might find interesting, it might give you joy. Volunteering is obviously something else to consider. Obviously, it doesn't pay you anything, but part-time work, I could share a number of the different jobs my clients have done or are doing currently. I like to say my favorite part-time job would be in retirement would be to be a golf course marshal, because I would love to play golf on a regular basis in retirement, and I could play for free at the golf course that I worked at. Rental income, not sure if this is an option for you or not to consider, but you may have a room that you could rent out, a garage apartment, something to consider for additional income. Just something to think about. Creating and sticking to a budget. This is very important, and it always is important prior to retirement as well as in retirement. Do you track your spending? Do you use a program of some kind? I personally use Quicken to keep an idea on all my expenses, both household and business. By setting up a budget, that's the first thing. Get a spreadsheet started somewhere, whether it's a simple one in Excel, or something like I mentioned using Quicken, and then prioritize your essential expenses, focusing on housing, healthcare, food, and your primary expenses, which would include your debt, pay your debt payments, like on credit cards or car payments. And then cutting out unnecessary costs, looking at where your money is going. I think the ATM card is probably the biggest nemesis to us all because we use them, one, to take cash out of the bank, and two, the concern would be, okay, I'm going to use it to buy gas or to pay for the sandwich at the local sandwich shop, these sorts of things. So reining in your expenses, especially on things like entertainment and subscriptions, look at what you spend just on streaming services is something to think about as well. Taking advantage of tax benefits. There are a lot of senior credits out there. Explore what's available to you, like medical expense deductions or senior specific benefits. These are Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplemental plans. Doctors and hospitals offer programs that are many times free of charge. Explore the state benefits. Property tax reduction's a big deal for seniors. I know that is an option in the community that I live in, so you need to look into it. Many of these are available to you at age 65, and you can get a reduction or potentially a complete elimination. I have a client who recently just told me that their real estate taxes have been eliminated completely because she just qualified for 100% disability compensation for her time in the military. And then making tax efficient withdrawals. Right here, if you've got Roth IRAs, you get tax exempt withdrawals. You don't have to pay taxes. It's tax-free growth. And you don't pay any taxes on the withdrawals from Roth IRAs. Whereas your traditional IRA, you do have to pay taxes on those withdrawals. Honestly, in an income stream, you should consider maximizing the ones that make the most sense. I like to talk about the bucket approach. You've got your after-tax investments, you've got your tax-deferred investments, and you've got your tax-free bucket as well. Consider making your withdrawals smartly each and every day, month, and year. Paying off debt. This is a big deal. Obviously, if you can go into retirement with as little debt as possible, that's a good thing. Now, in many cases, a lot of retirees are always going to have a mortgage. The house isn't paid for yet. You may have a car payment, but you're going to want to eliminate things like high interest credit card debt. Focus on knocking off those loans first. And if you have them in retirement, again, focus on knocking them out one at a time. You can consolidate these high interest loans. You might consider refinancing your home or getting a home equity line of credit. That interest is tax deductible, whereas this high interest debt on credit cards and installment debt is not. So, refinancing, it may be a good option. I mean, I know interest rates are higher right now on mortgages, but home equity lines are coming down as interest rates are coming down. And then just avoid new debt altogether if you can. Not having to worry about it would just make your life easier. Things to consider in that arena, talking about managing your healthcare costs. I just mentioned earlier, your supplemental plan or your advantage plan. These are things you're going to want to review on an annual basis. Number one, to make sure your coverages align with your goals. And then obviously, what are the costs? Supplemental insurance plans do typically cost more than advantage plans. Supplemental plans are insurance plans, whereas advantage plans are more like Medicare replacements. What makes sense for you? A lot of it depends on what your health is. So that's one thing to consider. Preventive care. There are a lot of free services out there. You may have a small co-payment. You do definitely need to stay in touch with your health and go see your doctors on a regular basis just to make sure that you're in good shape. You do not want something to creep up on you where, number one, it just affects your life, but also could be very expensive from the care that would be required, the expenses, deductibles, co-payments, coinsurance, and so forth. And HSAs and FSAs, health savings accounts and flexible spending accounts. These are both things that you can consider prior to retirement. I'm a huge fan of health savings accounts. You put money in, you get a tax deduction for it. Your employers many times do provide a matching contribution of some kind. It grows tax-free, essentially, and actually tax-deferred. And the withdrawals for medical expenses are not taxable. Again, it's like a healthcare IRA. Tax deduction up front, tax deferred growth, don't pay any tax on the growth, and then the withdrawals for healthcare expenses are tax free. Huge fan of it. You should take advantage of these if they're available through your employer, and this will allow you to pay many of those expenses when you're in retirement. I do want to quote that recent studies have shown for a married couple going into retirement, their overall healthcare expenses can exceed $300,000. That's significant. And you do want to try and manage those costs as best you can. Preserving your nest egg. Well, obviously, we're in the investments business too. You want to diversify your investments across all asset classes. That includes bonds, dividend paying stocks, and potentially other income generating assets. Maintain an emergency fund, very important. The old rule was minimal 3 to 6 months. If you could maintain 6 to 12 months of your living expenses in a money market type fund that earns a fair rate of return, that would be great, and that would be your first line of defense. And be very, very cautious of scams. They're everywhere. They're constantly trying to get our attention and steal our information, whether it's with phishing emails or things that you click on websites, where next thing you know, you're stuck in some terrible loop. Be very careful. I am a big fan of getting some sort of identity protection service as well. I personally use LifeLock. These services are very helpful in monitoring your credit. And if one of these nefarious organizations gets a hold of your information and tries to utilize it, they're there to help you. And by the way, if they don't catch it, they will help make it right. LifeLock has a $1 million guarantee. God, I hope I never have to use that $1 million. But again, identity theft protection can be very important as well in protecting you and guarding against scams. Leverage community resources, local assistance programs like food banks, transportation services, and utility assistance. I know these are all available for seniors. Check to see if they're available in your community. Senior centers. Participate in free and low-cost activities like the YMCA and others. I know many church organizations have programs like this. I know my parish does. And then nonprofits and charities. There are a lot of services and options available to you out there to consider. You just need to look for them in your community. And one of those, artificial intelligence or AI like ChatGPT can be very helpful, just as long as, or along with Google searches. Things to consider: downsize to reduce your overall costs. Do you currently have a big home? Maybe you should get a smaller one. You don't need all those rooms anymore. You don't need the property taxes. You just don't need the overall expenses on utilities to maintain anymore. Relocate. Consider states or countries with a lower cost of living, and specifically state income taxes, which we'll talk about here momentarily. And shared housing with family members or other retirees, like a retirement community. Maybe that's something you might want to consider. Planning for inflation, investments like TIPS, Treasury inflation protected securities, adjusting your spending annually to account for inflation. We have been in some very inflationary times, but they have come down, but it's always there. The price of goods and services is always going up. You need to keep an eye on what you're spending your money on. Finally, be flexible. Be prepared to adapt your finances as costs rise. You may have to pull things out of your budget, things that you've been spending money on, but you just honestly figure out you don't need this versus something else that may be more important. States with no income tax. Yes, there are several states to consider living in. Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, the state of Washington, and Wyoming. Some of those states are warm weather climate, like Florida and Texas. You got to keep in mind that, yeah, no state income tax is beneficial for, obviously taxes on your investment income, part-time income, maybe your Social Security. But these states do catch up with you in some other way, whether it's property taxes or real estate taxes. But there are several states who exempt Social Security and pension income. And one of them is my next door neighbor, and that's Illinois. These states do have income taxes, but they fully exempt both Social Security benefits and pension income. Alabama, Hawaii, Illinois, Mississippi, and Pennsylvania are those states. All right. Most states exempt Social Security for state income tax purposes. But these few states also exempt pension income and withdrawals from your IRA. As I just mentioned, while some states don't tax Social Security or pensions, other taxes may be higher. Things to think about. Each state is unique rules when it comes to pensions. You're just going to want to check and see what your state does. All right. And bottom line, if you don't have a tax advisor, you should speak to one, because they can certainly help you with many of these things, as well as financial advisors like myself can. So again, just a lot of good basic information for you to consider. And one of the biggest deals that I think is one of the most important things that everyone should have is a plan. And many retirees or pre-retirees don't have one. We here at the Retirement Group are happy to put together a complimentary retirement cash flow. It will give you an idea of where you stand, whether you're not retired yet, you're about to retire, or you're in retirement. We have a great deal of knowledge of many Fortune 500 companies that we work with. We've got offices nationwide, and we've got a great deal of experience. I've been a financial advisor for 40 plus years. So these are reasons why you might want to consider the Retirement Group. I would really look forward to speaking with anyone who has gotten a chance to see this and share more ideas with you. You could send us an email or give us a phone call. You can scan this QR code here on the left to schedule a meeting with myself or one of my colleagues. Definitely follow us on LinkedIn by scanning the QR code here on the right. We've got a great LinkedIn page, and you can find our future webinar schedules there. We also maintain a YouTube page where we keep all of our recordings. So if you're curious about what we've done in the past, go take a look at our YouTube page at the Retirement Group. I really appreciate everyone's time and attention to this. Again, just some very basic ideas for people to consider. And you know what? I'd really look forward to speaking with you if you got any additional questions. And with that, I want everyone to have a great day, and thank you for joining me.